We welcome Barry Perkins, the CEO of Veed with a V, V-E-E-D. Alan, take her away.
Hi, thank you very much for having me here. I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce Veed. Veed is a tech-enabled PE structure for brands. Underneath there, we have Veed, but within Veed, we're facilitating $300 million of qualifying transactions in 24 months through a media-driven, community-powered market network. If we look at where we go from a goal, an end perspective, and work backward, I find that the most valuable way to actually drive something. We're planning already and working with people in Canada to drive a SPAC or a CPC up there with leveraging qualifying transactions from 300 million of the $1 billion total annual GMV selected across 30 plus profitable companies, including 100 plus high growth brands, AI, fintech, and software as a service in Canada and US, all in the cannabis space. To get there, in 2021, we're going to raise $5 million, which we're going to use to drive the growth of the business and attain $1 billion of total GMV across the brands. Right now, where we are, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but it's a $2 million raise to launch the actual commerce facilitator function of Veed and drive the cannabis market. And our goal with that is to actually drive $100 million of GMV across the brands that we work with. To date, we have $500,000 in from founders and friends. The current market that's out there for cannabis is inefficient and incomplete. It's a two-sided market, which is basically buyer to seller. And there's no B2B marketplace. It's difficult to find and connect with business partners, and it results in a high cost of doing business. As well, there's no real integration into the social networks, and it limits the capacity of businesses to drive growth. The big change of what we are doing is we are a commerce facilitator. If you want to read about a commerce facilitator, check out the link below. Anyway, in this one, we are connecting all different members in the cannabis market space in an end-sided multi-dimensional marketplace where everybody sees everybody, works with everybody, partners with everybody, and connecting that via social networks and leveraging the networking effect to drive incremental sales and growth, cultivate trust, and build relationships across customers. Veed itself actually benefits because we drive non-linear cash flows, which are composed of pure profit. One of the key foundations for what we're doing is that you have to know the customers that you have, and you have to know their path to conversion. And in this particular space, the current space, people have attribution where they click at the last just to close. If you look at the typical affiliate marketing structures, they don't know the journey along the way. And people spend vast sums of money in upfront advertising and marketing costs with very, very slim returns because it's all based upon prepay. And we go beyond that last touch attribution to actually track every step along the buyer's journey. And from there, we can actually pay people along the way for the influence that they provide by leveraging their writing, their social networks, and so forth. And this is the structure of some of the fees, and you can see how we get paid on the bottom. This is all based upon the fact that the buyer's journey, people are leveraging social media to determine, and their social channels and their friends and families to understand, excuse me, what is going on in the market, what they should buy, what's interesting. In here, there's some interesting statistics. As you can see, 92% of the people trust recommendations from individuals about a product, even when they don't know that individual. That's kind of an interesting number, a little bit surprising perhaps. Well, after discovering a product through social media recommendations, 55% of people buy that product online. That's the choice
Barry, one
pattern
minute.
that's okay. That's the choice pattern that's going on out there. So the goal is to turn customers into co-sellers. You want people who know and use and love the product to write about, talk about, post about, and share information about the product. And to do that, we actually pay them along the way as co-sellers. To expand that, we work with media companies to drive access to vast numbers of audiences so brands get more visibility and driving new customers, new co-sellers, and an efficient way to drive incremental sales growth through additional advertising. These are the companies that we are launching with currently right now. We have others in line as well. This, as you can see, is a very
Thank you, Barry. Could
significant.
you wrap it up?
Yep. Okay. So we're targeting at this point, it'll be $100 million of facilitated revenue, which delivers 100 or 11 million of net revenue. This is the team that we have through here. We have a lot of expertise, and currently what we're looking for is to raise $2 million right now, which is going to be to take us through our launch and actually drive the onboarding of 100 plus brands, media companies, retailers, et cetera, and work with $100 million of GMV across the brands.
Excellent, Barry. Thank you very much. Eric Spitz is one of our judges. Eric, did you have a question? And you're likely on mute.
I do have a question. Thank you, Jim. I wonder, could you help us understand? I'm in the cannabis distribution business, so a lot of those charts make a lot of sense to me, but I'm trying to understand who you are cutting out of the business, or what role you play in a current business. Are you looking to disintermediate the distributor or the ultimate consumer? And how do you turn an ultimate consumer into a seller, if I'm understanding it correctly?
Okay, so thanks. Good question, Eric. Thank you very much. So first of all, we're not trying to disintermediate anybody. We're connecting with the distributors, the manufacturers, the brands, the licensed retailers, and the cultivators, not to actually move the product around. We facilitate the commerce. We connect the money from one to another and allow a very efficient buying mechanism for each of them. More importantly, though, we tie them to the vast number of people in the market that want to buy the product, and we leverage the e-commerce systems and the distribution or the dispensaries for them to buy it by driving awareness to particular brands and products. People can click and have a quick, easy path to buying what they like.
Okay, so I feel like I heard that the first time around, but I'm still a little fuzzy. Could you walk us through a transaction?
Yeah.
Okay, so if here, let me go through this one. It's I got to put this. If you look in here on the top right-hand corner, I've got to get this out of the way. There we go. When somebody wants to post about a product, right? They post some information on any of the social networks that are out there. It could be a review, or it could be on a blog or whatever. And in there, somebody will read about a product. They decide that they like the product. Is use, for example, Cheech's Stash. Somebody writes about it and they see that link and they say, I'm really interested in that product. They click on that product. It takes them to our marketplace. Then they look at what the details are of the product. They find out that maybe it's on an e-com, maybe it's delivered by our Heart Chain. They click it, they buy, it gets delivered through the dispensary of their choice, wherever they're at legally. They get the product, they decide they love the product, they write about it, decide they want to become a co-seller. In there, when they buy, there's an opportunity for them to say, hey, do you want to be a co-seller? Because if you write about and talk about the product and somebody clicks and gets and actually buys, you get paid along the way. And then our customers become co-sellers in a virtuous circle.
Excellent. Thank you. We have 2 minutes if any judge has a final question.
I do. Sounds like
John?
you're trying to harness network effects and second order effects. And way I look
Correct.
at it is it's a interactive ecosystem. So my question to you is, what will initiate the virtuous effects? How will you get something like that done? Like, for example, I'm a cone seller. What's my real incentive? I write some material praising the product, and from there, how am I compensated?
So when somebody sees your product, let's say you write an article and you post it on High Times,
Mhm.
right? It doesn't even have to be an ad. It's an article talking about something else and you mention a product in there. Somebody clicks on that link, says, hey, this product looks interesting. Or they click to your article, which actually attracted them to the first place. We store that attribution, that link that's embedded in there that says, hey, he actually influenced the use for the interest in this product. At that point, when somebody goes along and they might want to buy it right then, but most people don't buy on the first opportunity. But eventually, when somebody buys, if you were the intro, you'll get the intro fee because we recorded when you actually introduced that person to that product, where, when, how, and why, right? The next part is that you might actually, if in your article, have the link to the product, somebody clicks on it and says, hey, I want to buy it. We record that right at that time, and you get paid at that point for influencing the actual close of the product. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. There's a lot more I could ask you, but that's certainly a good
Oh
start.
yeah.
I'm
So
presuming you're using an underlying blockchain technology to store the data.
we have a very significant underlying technology. It's a little difficult in the short term to
Right.
describe it. It's called Awake, or shop type by Awake Market. It's part of the Awake structure that I'm involved in. I would
Okay.
love to get on the phone with anybody and we can walk through all of the details underneath this.
Okay.
And we can actually demo it because all of this is up and running right now.
Okay.
Excellent, Barry. You might want to go and visit the chat and introduce your contact information. Thank
Okay.
you very much for your presentation. Well done.
Thank you.